Yeah. OnChain Revolution, you're not bullish enough. OnChain Revolution, you're not bullish enough. Every day we steady looking at the market, and we gon' tell you how to get started. Chain abstraction, fear and greed index, always looking at price action. Roll call in advance, you don't even gotta mention. I swap it in the decks, you're not bullish enough. Traded in the segs, you ain't trenching enough. We do that market recap. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to rehab. Shizzy and Jago beat. OnChain Revolution, network in the art. Every day we go live, baby, you know where we are. We mention all the networks and the crypto. Need some more liquidity, flipping and trading is the recipe. Too many protocols to count. I get high and I'm never coming down. Number go up, then I'ma say peace. Yeah, you thought that I was gonna leave. Yeah, we just getting started, man. OnChain Revolution. Every day. Bring the beat back. Eyes everywhere, gotta be careful with volatile meme coins. You can get some bread if you round trip it, then you gon' regret. All this information in my head. BYOR, touch grass instead. Nobody really knows how it's gon' end up today. Somebody gotta tell you what's happening today. I don't let the money change me no way. OnChain Revolution, here to stay. Yeah, say I'm Sage, man. Voodoo 2 on the way. Yeah, Nicky's. Yeah, OnChain Revolution. OnChain. Hey, OnChain Revolution. Bitcoin not an illusion. Market recap, then I do a roll call. You're not bullish in the vocal. Look at the price action, change. Yeah, send it to the deck. Sell it through the stack. Ordinal's the best. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to read. If you end up bearish, gotta put the knee pad. Let me see the comments. Look at the fear and greed index. Bridge. Look at the chart.
Welcome back to OnChain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire Bitcoin crypto ecosystems. What's up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We are live from the OnChain Hour, and today's episode is going to be absolutely fantastic, guys, because there's actually news to talk about. There's actually some stuff in the markets today that we're going to cover. It's going to start with the China dumping the U.S. debt, but then Warren Buffett coming in buying it up. We got some of that going on. We got a bunch of crypto stuff. A lot. The FDIC is finally coming into Bitcoin. Well, maybe we're going to talk about that. We got a lot of really amazing stuff here. Trump-backed World Liberty Financial posted a new governance proposal to distribute its USD1 stablecoin to all WLFI holders. That's pretty big. They're just going to give away some dollars there. And yeah, so let's kind of jump right into it. Let's bring in my partner here, as always, Mr. Iago B. What's up, buddy?
What's up?
What's going on, man? How you feeling? And Bitcoin sitting around $78,737. Ethereum getting wrecked, knocking on that door of Benjamin Cohen's home. But how you feeling with everything?
Yeah, are we decoupling again? Are we decoupling in the wrong direction? Right. It looks like the S&P is bouncing back, but Bitcoin is being a little delayed in that manner. But look, it's still not like dumping super hard. We're at 78,700. It's going to be interesting rest of this week. I'll say that. But I will say it feels like at least like some of this, negative energy is calmed a little bit. You're still going to see the stuff that you see on X. I mean, that's just how X is, right? Everybody's going to, that's the part of the freedom of speech that Elon, you got to give him credit. Like whatever side you're on, he lets you kind of scream whatever you want to scream on there. So they still are a little bit kind of screaming about their portfolios, but it's not as bad as it was yesterday, the day before. I do expect things to be a lot more tame and people to get locked in. I would say just get locked in on what's important, what your convictions have been, and maybe, focus on what your strategy is going to be from here on.
Yeah, I agree. But you got to remember, like, Bitcoin really held its ground over the last couple of days, right? It really didn't dump too hard. S&P dumped historically hard, right? So going Thursday, Friday. So, it's very oversold, and Bitcoin wasn't very oversold. Do you think that could be why we're kind of like dipping here while the S&P is kind of moving up, because the S&P is looked at as very oversold at the moment?
I think that we saw some of that on Sunday night and a little bit yesterday, but I don't think we see an aggressive pull down or anything today. I think we got most of that out of the way. I hope, but we'll see. It's obviously not tailing, the S&P, very close right now, but it also is still, like you said, it's kind of found like this. Uh, I wouldn't say like it's not stable yet, but like, as long as we're not gonna keep breaking down like we did on Sunday night and stuff like that, I think we're okay.
Yeah, I agree. So just kind of going at what we just said, kind of, but the U.S. stock market surges by 2 trillion at open. Just for context, Bitcoin is less than a $2 trillion asset. It's pretty crazy to see stuff like this. U.S. stock market surges $2 trillion at open, at the open, and then Bitcoin is sitting at like 1.9 trillion. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's the entire market cap.
All right, so I want to show this chart real quick because it was actually really cool to see. So Bitcoin previous cycles shows peaks approximately 550 days after halving events. As of April 8th, 2025, it's been 354 days. We're actually 11 days away from the 1 year anniversary of the halving, which is pretty nuts to think about. It's been almost a full year of runes and a full year since of the halving. So Bitcoin went from 6.25 to 3.1 something, right? It's give or take. It's a little bit some math there. But yeah, so let me actually show this chart here. Bitcoin halving cycles and market peak. So this is the 2017, right? We peaked right at the 556 days. This is 2020. We peaked 547 days. And this will potentially be the 550 days would be here. It's showing Bitcoin kind of just hanging out up there, right? So do you think we're potentially 200 days away from the peak?
Yeah, I mean, again, I hate using historical trends, even though those have been historically
Yeah.
the best way to kind of forecast, right? I mean, it is typically, but but if you look at this chart, though, it doesn't look that much different,
Yeah.
if you zoom out, right? So, I mean, I don't like that part, right? I don't want to see it further down and then back up.
Yeah.
What day? What would that actually put us? Because I think that's 200 more days from where we are now.
Yeah, so it would put us probably in November, December.
Yeah. So about 6.5 months from where we are
Yeah.
now, October, November. Yep. Interesting. I mean, that's how it played out in 17 for sure.
Yeah.
That was the top. You can see there in 2021, it was unique there, manipulation. There was a peak
Yeah.
in April and then a peak in Q4, but 2017 was just that build up to Q4.
Yeah.
So hey, maybe we get that, and we're just not used. We haven't seen that in so long that we're all freaking out now. And plus, a lot of stuff in the world's happening right now too. So
Yeah. I mean, look at this though. Look how much sideways there was, right? I mean, and then you come back to here. Look how much sideways there is, right? So potentially we could go 4 more months of sideways and then have an upward momentum that is absolutely extraordinary, right? Like this right here would be like equivalent to like $300,000 for Bitcoin in one couple months of pushing, right? Which could be absolutely insane. But what if we do? What if we get another, let's just say 150 days of sideways before we push up? And then we won't like that. But it's definitely something possible. Or we could, have another leg up, some sideways, another leg up, some sideways, which I think a lot of people are predicting as well.
yeah, I remember 2017. It was, it's a completely different industry now than it was
Yeah.
then. But it like people like the radio station was talking about it, in
Yeah.
like November, December, saying, Bitcoin is this new like digital
Yeah.
currency and all this stuff, and talking about like Litecoin on sports like radio talk. They were talking about it, so it kind of hit that first mainstream, and so but it came out of nowhere, right? It was like that
Yeah.
Q4. I think for this time it'll be like a bubbling up, and people are going to be guessing left and right, left and right. But hey, as long as we get that, at least I think that I'm okay, because we just need something this year.
I agree. But it seems like, macro is driving the cycle. Macro drove the bear market and macro is driving this bull market. So China holds 9.6% of foreign owned US debt, less than 3% of the total US public debt, and has started selling down the US debt. But China's yuan drops to its lowest level against the US dollar since 2023. China is printing money heavily right now. Kind of goes into what BitMEX co-founder Arthur Hayes suggests, that either the Fed or China's its public Bank of China will provide. Oh, I'm sorry, the People's Bank of China will provide favorable conditions for crypto markets. China looks like it's already begun that.
Yeah, I think so one of the things that I think we got to realize is that the US is 15% of this is like a data that I think they put out, but 15% of their total export market, right? Which
Yeah.
it kind of looks small, but we're still, I'm sure, the biggest, like, because they ship out to everywhere. But like the biggest thing outside of that is like, okay, but that's not it though. Like let's say if we just like stop doing receiving imports from China, China has to do something with those excess goods because they have ton of cheap goods, tons of warehouses that already produced, right? They have to offload that somewhere. So the EU is nervous right now. Australia is nervous right now because they don't want that, because like they're they're trade partners with China. So China's like, look, you guys got to take some of this stuff. We'll give it to you cheap, blah blah blah. But what is that going to do for like those actual markets? That's going to make them less competitive against China as well within their own country. And that's why they've been putting up these barriers and trade or tariffs and stuff with us and stuff, because they want to make sure that their companies are competitive. And so this is like a cyclical thing. It's not just the 15% for us and we're not a big deal. No. So I think the leverage is definitely much more in our side. And this is they're going to have to print. They're going to have to put liquidity out there to just kind of like prepare. So this is very, very interesting, but I think we have more leverage than people are giving us credit for.
Yeah, 100%. And the thing is too is like U.S. companies have actually started leaving China 4 years ago during COVID, right? Because Indonesia is one of the biggest providers. I think it's like South Korea is another place.
Vietnam.
So it's Vietnam. So it's a lot of these other countries that have been taking in a lot of U.S. products over the last 4 years, because I think we've all seen what happened during COVID. You can't just be in one spot. I mean, that kind of really hit our area really hard when China shut down. Right, when they shut down and stopped, sending ships and stuff, it really destroyed the U.S. economy. I mean, it caused crazy inflation because it was about supply and demand, and there was no supply. So the demand was high because a lot of people had money. So that's what really destroyed the supply chain. So a lot of companies have actually been producing in other countries, but I mean, they're getting hit with tariffs too. So it's just one of those things now where China was the leading. I don't even know if they're leading anymore, but that has to be help with hurting their economy as well.
Yeah, and they still are the leading, and it's by quite a bit. But they definitely got pulled back, and it's the COVID. You make a great point because of the protective gear, and everybody just was like, "Oh my God, we have to wait for these shipments."
Yeah.
But also before that, whenever Trump's first term, this isn't new. He did the tariffs initially, and smart retail companies said, "Oh no, we can't be in this situation. What if he wins again in the next 4 years? Then we got to prepare." So, companies like retail companies, Macy's, Nordstrom, stuff like that, started, basically going to Vietnam and, like you said, those other countries, even in his first term before COVID. So COVID kind of put extra on there. But then you have the big box like Walmart that does cheap, and they were like, no, we're not giving up that revenue. They're the ones that are going to be in hot water the most.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree for sure. So on top of this, China print money, then you have the big dog. This is someone you've been saying for a while. Like, we got to see what Warren Buffett does. And what does he do? Berkshire Hathaway significantly increased its holdings in U.S. Treasury bills, reaching approximately 234 billion in short-term investments. So in the course of the last, I want to say about 30-40 days, they put about 34 billion in short-term investments into these bonds, and these lower interest rate bonds. I don't understand. I don't get why he's not buying stocks, but he's buying treasury bills.
So I think this was not maybe the smartest move by China, kind of selling those bonds off like that. It was they thought that it would just create panic, but Warren Buffett's picking them up, and he obviously is smart, so he's expecting these to go up and make a profit and all this. But I don't know. There could be some stuff behind the scenes too, because like you said, this could be kind of working with the Fed too, because eventually they would have to start buying these, right?
So so that's what quantitative easing is, right? The Fed going into the market and buying up treasury bills. Warren Buffett seems to be front running the Fed here. So I don't know. Maybe he's planning to sell to the Fed later when they start buying. So it could be a nice little trade for him. So we'll see. Last week we were talking a lot about IPOs, crypto companies like eToro, what is it? The USDC, right? Actually going public, and now we're seeing Galaxy Digital has secured an SEC approval for the U.S. listing, plans to list on the Nasdaq with the ticker GLXY after complementing its reorganization. So we do know that Galaxy Digital is led by its founder and CEO Michael Novogratz. Michael Novogratz has the Luna Wolf on his arm or shoulder.
My God.
and now he's about to. He was one of the biggest investors in Luna, and he got hit. Last bear market was extremely hard for Galaxy Digital, but they didn't go bankrupt. They held strong, and now they're going to be listed on the SEC. Do you think they listed by the SEC and secured SEC approval? Do you think they kind of do well in the stock market?
I'm not sure, but I thought they got into some hot water. Were they not insolvent at one point? They didn't screw their customers over?
No.
Okay.
No, they held strong.
They
I
survived.
don't know whether that
Okay.
was loans or whatever, but they stood strong. They're an investment company, right? So they probably had other investments that hedged the Luna drop, but I mean it was still significant. So
Yeah, I imagine that this will probably help them because they've been through like one of the worst situations that you could possibly be in when you're over,
Yeah.
leveraged with a situation like that, and they survived it. But like here, they're gonna have to have a lot more, like proof of stability and that kind of things whenever you go public. So
Yeah.
this could be good for them, right? And then also we're gonna see, because yes, we had like minor companies go public before, but we haven't really had a ton of like other digital asset companies be public, and we're starting to see more and more of that. So I think this is going to be really interesting to see how they succeed or fail in TradFi, kind of going into their world a little bit. But at the end of the day, I think we both think that there's going to be a merge and tokenization of real world assets and all that stuff, and that will fold TradFi into what we do here. So
Yeah. I think when Circle, Galaxy Digital, eToro, they start to really move in the stock market, I think that's when you're really going to see a really, really big alt season. I think they will be considered like the risk on assets. I think it's something to watch as a crypto investor. When you see, let's just say, Galaxy Digital go public, once you see Circle go public, maybe that could be the lead off of a really, really, really bullish time in crypto.
could be. It very well could be. But I was thinking the other day when I was on a walk yesterday about, if they do tokenize stocks, do you think there's any chance that like these tokenized stocks could be like a decentralized version? So for example, if someone loses their shares, tokenized shares, that just comes out of the share supply. I think that would be really cool. I was thinking like a kid, but still, like it's just kind of like you can utilize these stocks or these shares as kind of like currency in a sense.
I think that everything will be tokenized, but it will be very centralized, so where it's not leaving the platform, right?
What's
It's
that
kind of
difference
like
then?
the difference would be everything on chain, being able to kind of see it, right? So you'll have a wallet. Your wallet will be based with like the Nasdaq wallet, right? You log in just like how you normally would log down on E-Trade, right? And you can make your transactions and all be happen in a fast-paced environment, but your wallet is actually centralized to where it can be recovered, it can be taken. You know what I mean? Like I think it's going to be like a very similar to how Coinbase runs.
Yeah, be interesting once that happens.
Man. So this is the first time in my going on 6 years in crypto that I've actually been bullish on XRP. So Ripple acquires prime broker Hidden Road for $1.25 billion. How it got that money was selling down XRP. But I think this is a great acquisition for them because Hidden Road is an institutional prime broker offering clearing, financing, and multi-asset access, FX, Forex, crypto, derivatives. It's a hedge funds and trading firms. So, the big thing here is Ripple is launching a USD-backed stablecoin, and Hidden Road plans to use RLUSD as collateral in its prime brokerage services. So originally they were supposed to partner with Hidden Road, and then Ripple just said, screw it, let's own this company. And they went out and actually bought it. So I am very bullish on a stablecoin running on XRP. I am not bullish on XRP itself because of the amount that they sell yearly. But it is also a meme coin in my eyes. I believe that it has a meme coin like following, like Doge, like Shiba, so on and so on. But in my opinion, having that meme coin and then adding USD backed stablecoin on a fast chain, this could be really big for Ripple. What do you think about all this?
Yeah, I see where your comparison comes in with the meme coin communities. The difference is it's not like it's not like silly with like the dogs and stuff like that. It's more of like the crazy
I mean,
brainwash.
how is Shiba funny at all? Like it's a
not
dog
not
breed.
not funny, silly, right? Like cartoon is their mascots and stuff like that. But the brainwash part definitely is the same as like Doge and stuff like that.
It's exactly the same. Yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah, I think that's where the difference is to me. But in terms of this being bullish for XRPL, I do agree because what this can do is create more products on their ledger.
Yeah.
Actually build. There's a lot of projects actually that have gone through the Ripple Accelerator the past like 6 years, and people don't know about it. I used to mess around over there a little bit, but a lot of them didn't really pan out necessarily, or they haven't panned out yet. But they were like very real world use case, like Ticketmaster, replacing Ticketmaster, that kind of thing, and stuff like that. But now, I think what they were missing was the average user going over there and being able to do stuff on their chain. And so the stable coin can kind of help that, staking rewards, those kind of things. It's going to be interesting to see what coins kind of come out of the XRPL, because the only ones that I know about are the ones that I researched like 4 years ago, 3 years ago. Expector's one of them. Actually, they have a coin over there. They came over here for the bitmap thing, but none have really thrived to where it's like, oh, that's a coin from XRPL, right? So maybe this changes that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious who's going to build there, right? For instance, like, are you going to see banks go and build on Ripple, or will the banks create their own chain and have their own stablecoin, right? Like, I know Strike is they're actually working on. Stripe is actually working on their own blockchain, right? So a lot of people were saying that potentially Ripple could work with Stripe, but Stripe's making their own blockchain. Like, so what happens when every bank has potentially their own blockchain, and they're all Ethereum L2s, which could really easily interact with each other, right? Because they're all EVM. Like, why? I'm still bullish. I mean, be able to send trillions of dollars back and forth using RLUSD, but again, you can use USDC potentially on on Base
Sonic
for that, right? So, well, yeah, on Sonic. Well, like Sonic is cool, but like Sonic doesn't have its native stablecoin either. Like USDC is bridged in, right? They're not actually deploying there, right? So, but there was news again today that Circle just minted 250 million in USDC on Solana, right? This is happening like every other week. Like, it is crazy in there the amount of money that's getting. So, like, why would you use something like XRP even with a stablecoin when you can just use Solana that's just as fast? Right? I've never said, "Oh wow, my Solana transaction is slow," right? Like, and you can send USDC, which is it's going to be a publicly traded company. Circle.
Yeah. So the going back to the XRP thing and the banking institutions. So Garlinghouse obviously has that banking background, so he has his network there. So we can he's obviously a good salesman. So I think he can probably work his way into maybe something. We'll see what happens with that. But also, I think some of these chains are really going to try to sell themselves to financial institutions of, don't worry, if something goes wrong, we have control of the chain. Like, who has control of the chain? Solana does.
Coinbase.
Yeah, it's Coinbase. I don't know what I'm talking about, like actually like halting it. You know what I mean? So we know that like Solana can do that, right? I'm pretty sure.
I mean, not a good thing.
It's not a good thing, but in the banking institutions mindset, it is, because they're like, oh, like, what, dude, we're scared. This is like, billions of dollars we're committing or whatever, hundreds of millions of dollars to start off with. And the sales pitch I can hear is like saying, hey, don't worry about that. If something happens, we have this emergency button that, like, or whatever. And I don't think they're not going to get that with Ethereum, right? But if they have their own L2, then they can, because they're creating it themselves from the ground up, right? Now, obviously, if transactions are already sent to Ethereum, then that's going to be tough or whatever. But it's going to be interesting to see how those financial institutions actually come in and which ones they pick, because we're starting to see Circle get more and more USDC minted, and Circle is connected with the financial institutions. Believe me.
Well, one thing about Ripple, though, is its chain is extremely fast, right? So, like, once that transaction's sent, I mean, it arrived. Like, there's no stopping that. Like, you can't say you're the fastest chain in the world and then, be able to halt a transaction. It's just not possible. It's just not enough time.
So, the big thing with the XRPL is that there's like a
roll back the chain roll.
There's I think so, but like, other than that, there's a mirrored version of the chain that they I think they can utilize, because they probably thought, hey, if we're going to have financial institutions, we got to have kind of like this backup system and stuff like that. So we're going to find out soon, though, in the next couple of years, like which chains are not really the decentralization stuff and all that stuff. So
I agree. Mazzari CEO Eric Turner says we're seeing the market decoupling. There's excitement about what's to come, especially as regulators begin to embrace crypto. Mazzari is a leading provider of market intelligence products designed to help professionals navigate the cryptocurrency economy. Right? What do you think about Mazzari coming out and saying, basically, we're going to decouple from the stock market, we're going to decouple from financial markets, and we can become kind of our own thing here, because the regulators are actually going to regulate crypto in a fair way.
They're going to decouple and not cover traditional finance anymore?
He said, Mazzari CEO Eric Turner says, we're seeing a market decoupling. There's excitement about what's to come, especially as regulators begin to embrace crypto.
Maybe because of like tokenization and stuff, and so it's like covering all of it together. I imagine. I wouldn't imagine that they would completely just back out of TradFi, because TradFi.
No. He's saying here that he thinks the markets are going to decouple from each other. So right now, the Bitcoin follows the Nasdaq pretty solidly. It's following the S&P. It's following gold.
Gotcha.
So eventually breaks apart and decouples from that, and kind of does its own thing, where you're not. It could be a hedge against the S&P instead of being another tech stock.
Yeah, I don't know if this was just kind of like the hype from Friday heading into the weekend when everybody was talking about it.
Yeah.
Right. And then on Sunday, who was it? Benjamin Cohen was like, hey, every time someone brings this up, like the next couple of days, it comes back. And that's what happened. I mentioned on yesterday's show, let's at least give it like two.
Well, this is a long-term
weeks.
Statement from him, right? Like, he thinks it's going to decouple completely, which a lot of people like Benjamin Cohen doesn't think that will ever happen.
I think the market caps have to get like way bigger, right? Like you just mentioned, like the 2 trillion, that has to be much bigger to decouple, so it has like enough liquidity and be its own thing. But I mean, I think it's inevitable that it's going to happen, especially everybody that believes that this is the future. So
yeah, I agree. So these next two actually kind of go into each other, which is actually funny because they weren't originally. But I saw the FDIC thing, and then this statement from this guy here. So Thomas Eisenberg, Chief Strategy Officer and Deputy Group CEO at Signum Bank, notes that U.S. banks are preparing to offer crypto custody services this year and amid regulatory clarity. So Signum is a global digital asset banking group founded on a Swiss and Singapore heritage. It empowers institutional investors, banks, corporates and foundations to invest in crypto. And then right after that happened, the FDIC acting chairman Travis Hill says they will issue additional guidance on particular Bitcoin and crypto related activities. So I mean, he hit the nail on the head here. If you kind of go back to this one, banks are preparing to offer crypto custody services and other borrowing and lending and so on and so on, and the FDIC could be certifying it all. I mean, this is actually absolutely like insane to hear. Like this is the dream of everyone in crypto. Like this is the banking system coming into crypto and basically saying this is legit.
It's a dream, I think, for the growth of it, but then some people that hope or wish that this wouldn't happen. It's inevitable, though. If your sector is going to grow and it's financed, that this was coming. But I agree with you. So, these guidelines and stuff, these banks are going to have to follow these to a T to get that backing from the FDIC. But I think that's huge too. And we're going to find out like what that protection is going to look like, because it does, there's people that don't want to click on a bunch of things and mess up. And so this will be like perfect for them. Maybe older people, that are like, I'd rather just my bank kind of custody it and stuff like that.
I mean, honestly, though, like let's just say that I want to take out a loan on Bitcoin, I would do an FDIC certified bank, right? Because, like, I mean, even it's just safer. It's just that obviously I'm giving up custody to that Bitcoin, right? But I'm doing it in the same way I did it with BlockFi, right? But this is actually a very secure way of doing it because I know as long as it's under 250K, that if anything does happen, I will be covered. And maybe that Bitcoin price goes up and I don't get covered for that, but like at the time of that, the thing happening, the fraud or whatever happened there, I will at least get partially a good amount of my Bitcoin that I took a loan against, right? So I don't know. I think this is absolutely amazing. This is basically taking BlockFi and putting the FDIC behind it, and you're using for me instance, that'd be great if I could use PNC or I can use Wachovia or you know what I mean, so on and so on.
How weird is that going to be whenever like you're driving by like a PNC and there's like a sign that says like now custody, deposit Bitcoin or whatever. It's going to be like, I'm taking a picture of that, but it's going to just be surreal. I feel like.
Yeah. And then you're going to have the maxi saying, custody your own Bitcoin, right? But at the same time, especially for us who, we get paid in crypto and we're crypto industry, right? Like potentially we could have our bank hold our company Bitcoin, right? Like that would be, I mean, that way, if anything did happen to, someone a part of that company, it's, it'll be protected and given to the heirs and stuff like that, right? So it's not like locked in. So that's potentially a thing as well, right? So there's different ways of thinking about it at the same time, and I think this is just healthy. It's healthy growth for crypto.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right. This is actually really bullish for altcoins. So ARK Invest buys 13.3 million in Coinbase shares while selling 12.4 million of its own Bitcoin ETF amid market slump. So Cathie Wood has been DCAing out of Bitcoin, her ETF, and has actually been DCAing into Coinbase, which some see as an index fund for potential cryptos, right? Because Coinbase, if goes up, Coinbase goes up, right? So what do you think about this? Do you think I'm right here? Do you think she's kind of DCAing out of Bitcoin and DCAing into altcoins using Coinbase shares as that alternative?
This is a recent purchase because
again and again, it's like every week.
Yeah. Okay. So she's been doing this strategy, I think, because the first time you brought this up was over a month ago.
Yeah.
I do think it's a little bit of a hedge because maybe she feels like Bitcoin could see a pullback here. Maybe since she started doing it over a month ago, it has pulled back since then. So it kind of makes sense a little bit, right?
Coinbase has pulled back as well, if not more.
Yeah, I'm not sure how she views this though, and honestly, like Kathy Wood, like she's definitely a risk taker. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
She has her more conservative portfolios and stuff for her clients, but like, man, her risk portfolios are definitely up there. But I think investing in Coinbase right now is like investing in like JP Morgan or something, like, 20 years ago or 30 years ago or something, So I think she looks at it like that. I'm not seeing inside of her head, but like, yeah, it's more of a hedge, kind of broad coverage of crypto.
Yeah, I mean, to me, she's buying Solana here. She's buying Algorand. She's buying, all these altcoins basically in an index fund. I think that's what Coinbase kind of represents to a lot of people. I know that's what it represents to me. If you're buying Coinbase stock, you're potentially buying the coins that it's holding in custody, right? And Bitcoin being a big one, obviously, but it goes far and far down the risk curve. I mean, potentially it's like buying Tau, right? Because if Tau does, a huge rise, Coinbase stock does well. And I don't know. I think this is really to me, this is an altcoin play for her because she has to do it on the stock market, right? She has to do. Maybe she doesn't believe in Ethereum, but she wants to buy a basket of tokens, and that's what kind of Coinbase shares kind of are.
Yeah, eventually there will be a solid index fund, though.
Oh,
do you think that's going to be more of the popular play in the future?
That's going to be the number one play, in my opinion. When XRP,
safest.
Cardano, Solana, because I think they're all going to get listed as ETFs, right? And then you're going to have a provider come in and just say, hey, this is 10% Solana, 10% XRP, 10% Cardano, 10% this Polkadot, so on and so on. And that would be something potentially she would get into instead of Coinbase here. Because I think that would be the ultimate. I mean, that is right. That's like buying the ultimate index fund. Something that I potentially would get into if I was in the stock market. That'd be perfect, right?
I mean, imagine like getting into the S&P when it first starts, and then like 10 years later, like what your portfolio looks like.
You're right, dude. You're right. There will be an S&P that is very similar to the crypto stuff. You'll probably see that on CNBC and stuff, whatever that is, the crypto 10, right?
Yeah.
Or the crypto 200 eventually down the line. When we get I don't think there's 200 assets that can actually
not yet, not right now,
but maybe. But yeah, 100%. Maybe the crypto 50 or something like that. Down the line, should be cool to see. Trump-backed World Liberty Financial posted a new governance proposal to distribute its USD1 stablecoin to all WLFI holders as a reward to early supporters and testing its airdrop functionality. What do you think about this?
They all get one. No, I'm just kidding.
You get $1. What do you think about this, though? They're testing the airdrop functionality on top of just giving away this USD1 that is backed 1-to-1 with dollars they hold.
Yeah. So the airdrop, but how much airdrop do they get each? Probably
it's not saying, but it's probably a certain amount to each share or each coin.
Yeah, that makes sense. This is cool because they're participating in stuff that we're used to.
This is DeFi, bro. This is DeFi. Like I love it. So. All right, and the final thing here before the fear and greed, we got my man Benjamin Cohen, who's been right every goddamn time, but he's right again. So this is he's been calling for this. This is something that I saw about probably like 2 or 3 months ago. He was saying, and that's when it was up here, right? Stock market was super up here at around $6,000, $5,800. And he was saying, hey, we need to hit this April 2024 low. If we want to move forward, we got to hit this low, and we did. And up here, I thought he was crazy. Down here, I think he's a freaking genius. What do you think about him just constantly being right?
Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty solid call right there, right? And then, I mean, you can throw the whole Ethereum going home on top of it and all that stuff as well. So yeah, he's been pretty damn spot on, like you said. That looks like a sad face. That's a sad face.
It is sad face. That is. That's what I was going for.
The sad face house, Ethereum house. That's what it is. But the happy part is it should stay in that house. So
yeah. And this line, I made this line here kind of like the medium of the two, right? So yeah, so that's kind of, he wants to knock it on the door here, but this is the guy who's just, I'm never doubting him again unless he's wrong like constantly. But this is just, it's just ridiculous how right Benjamin. If you're not following Benjamin Cohen on Twitter, it's at Into the Cryptoverse. You have to be following him. You can't. He's just too often right. But
yeah. I knew to trust him whenever, like, I knew he was rich, but then he had some roughed up New Balances on, and I was like, okay, like that guy knows a lot about money. He's not like a splurger. He's a conservative, responsible type of person. But anyways, yeah, he's been right. That's for sure.
Yeah, man. All right, let's get into that Bitcoin fear or the crypto fear and greed here. So last week we're at 34 last Tuesday. Yesterday we're at 23, and we're basically 23, but a little higher. I'll give you that hint.
25.
24 right there.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean that's a great guess. I mean, for that for sure, it's about 24. Pretty sideways from yesterday. I was actually thinking we were going to be in the 19 after that, but then we kind of pulled up this morning. So I was thinking, where do you think we are today? If you had to make a guess for tomorrow, I'm actually going to guess we're going to be at like 29.30 tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe 20. Well, yeah, how's the rest of today gonna go? That's the question. Maybe I would say maybe 26, 27, depending on how the rest of today goes. But yeah.
Yep. All right, let's get into that Bitcoin price action brought to you guys by Artura.finance. Artura is actually going to be joining us in about 20 minutes, so looking forward to that. But what is Artura? Artura is a leverage trading platform. Right now, it's on a testnet for Botonics, which is going to be a Bitcoin L2. But eventually, they will be on Hemi, which is another Bitcoin L2. Hemi will be the mainnet. Hemi is actually backed by Binance. So Binance Labs is an investor in Hemi, and which means it'll probably be on the Binance, listing when they finally do their TGE, right? So that's actually huge. But how do you get the Hemi token, right? Potentially using Artura.finance on Hemi on mainnet would actually get you free Hemi tokens. It's something that I will be doing, and I suggest you guys do the same. Not financial advice, go little. Tiny bit of money, but still you can get a nice fat airdrop. I'm definitely looking forward to adding liquidity and trading and stuff like that. Everything. Yeah, remember everything's very risky. It's new. It's different. So definitely check out Hemi and check out Artura.finance. But yeah, I think that's it.
Yep. And before we get into the Bitcoin price action, guys, help us out here. If you could smash that like on the YouTube side, subscribe to the channel, and turn your notifications on so you know when we go live on X, guys. Share the space for us. We need to onboard as many people to crypto and Bitcoin as possible. And on Abstract, if you could share that stream, that would be great. But let's go ahead and jump into some Bitcoin price action for you guys. Share my screen here. There's the sad house. All right, there we go. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, cool. So I am using TradingView here. And get out that. Perfect. Okay, guys, we are starting off with the hour chart for Bitcoin. Doesn't look the best, but doesn't mean that we're in super duper trouble for the rest of today. But the indicators are showing that it wants to go further down. But we have been kind of ranging between, after we had this huge red candle, by the way, about an hour ago, I would say an hour and a half. We actually were kind of towards the upper part of the 50-day EMA on the hour chart, which it's not as important as the weekly with the 50-day EMA, but we definitely want to obviously be above it, but because we have been below it since we got below it on Sunday, right? And so that's whenever that crash happened and the decoupling talk kind of went away. Rebound a bit yesterday, and now we're kind of chopping sideways, which I'm fine with, because we did get down to 64, right? So anyhow, the leading indicators here, MACD showing it wants to go a little bit further down, but I wouldn't be so sure that we're gonna dump hard or anything like that. But it's showing that we are in sell pressure here, right? And you can see stochastic also kind of did a reverse right in the middle of the channel, and looks like it wants to head down a little bit here. So I wouldn't be surprised. We kind of range back and forth, lower end 76.5, upper part maybe 79, because I do expect it to chop back and forth for today, unless some crazy news, which is not uncommon lately, comes out today. So that's kind of what I'm seeing right now on the hour chart. Second half of today's chop with a little bit of the lower downtrend there. Let me get out of here and get into the 4 hour. 4 hour, oh man, we try to get some buy pressure going, which we did have a little bit, but we have this big red candle here, so it looks like we are breaking down here for the MACD, showing that it's weakening for sure. But again, that shorter time frame, for the hour chart can kind of turn this around. So if we don't have like a big dump, it's more choppy, and we actually do have some positive price action, this could definitely, you know, get that buy pressure going again. We haven't been in overbought for very long, so it'd be kind of weird just for us to, you know, really just hit right here and come right back down. But we did kind of see that here, even though it didn't actually technically reach that over bought territory on Saturday, but it did barely touch that dotted line and come right back down. So I wouldn't expect that twice in a row though, but we'll see. You know, that's just more of like probabilities more than anything. But yeah, we definitely want to see this start to reverse, get, you know, break back into the 50-day EMA. So the next couple days, it really depends on how the second half of today goes, right? So if we do have a dump that happens, if there's some bad news and I'm wrong and it becomes aggressive, then expect Wednesday and Thursday to probably be more sell pressure. But I have a feeling that that's not going to happen, just because I feel like we got a lot of that out of the way on Sunday night, and we're starting to calm down, and the, you know, panicins are starting to tame down a bit, right? So so that's what I'm seeing for the next couple of days as well. We're going to play it off of the second half of today, so kind of just choppy with a little bit of, you know, downtrend is what I'm seeing. Now the weekly chart is the one that I'm really paying the most attention to right now, because as I mentioned yesterday, we haven't been below the 50-day EMA, coming from above it since January of 2022, which pretty much started that bear market. So yeah, we really need to hold this channel, not break below it and start a downtrend below it. That would be horrible, but I don't feel like that's going to happen. I feel like, you know, like Shizzy mentioned earlier in the show, Bitcoin has showed pretty good resilience, even though, you know, Sunday night and parts of early Monday morning were not great. But we've shown that resilience. We've shown that we're, you know, maintaining at least the middle of the channel. Hopefully we can, you know, chop maybe a little bit and then break back above and get back into like that safe zone. So that is what I am seeing for the weekly chart, and that's something I am paying very close attention to. So I'll update you guys if we get close to that. And then the others, everything besides Bitcoin and the top 10 here. Yeah, not great, but you know, if Bitcoin's not doing great, this is not going to do too great. But I will say, like, this green candle today is not too bad. You know, it's a little bit stronger looking than Bitcoin's weekly candle so far for this week. You can see it's starting to lighten up here too as well. So if we get a strong push from Ethereum, you know, maybe Benjamin Cohen is right about that, you know, Ethereum going back home and kind of finding that bottom in that area and start to get aggressive, and maybe we get that push up. Remember, guys, we still have a lot of good catalysts with the M2 money supply. The Fed has to respond in some way. You know, that the variable that is out of our control is you know, how is China going to truly retaliate to everything that's going on? Will there be some actual negotiation happening between the US and China, because that would probably be the best case scenario, or is it going to be a trade war, because that could make things tough even with catalysts? But that's something to think about as well. So yeah, that's kind of the state of everything. I think I saw myself say BTC dominance will eventually reverse and the rotation into alts will come. I agree. And it seems like Cohen is starting to get a little bit kind of more friendlier towards that because of ETH getting home, because he said that's the first step. So we shall see. The last part of this is the crypto bubbles, which on the daily, I wanted to show you guys some green here, and the daily is showing green, which, you know, kind of matches with that other chart being a little bit of a decently strong candle. But anything stick out on this to you?
I mean, just Fartcoin running again today.
Where's it at?
So I mean,
where's that
to the bottom right or medium right?
Oh, there it is, right here.
There you go.
9.1.
So,
and I think it was at like 11 yesterday. So
it was like 30% since Sunday. It's pretty wild. So
I mean, quit farting around. Who's seriously like is this hedge funds injecting?
No. So I looked into it, and ChatGPT, I was messing with ChatGPT, and it said it's Farcoin's 30% surge is likely due to increased retail investor interest and its her historical resilience during market volatility. So this is kind of this is the coin that just traders are getting into right now, retail traders.
Oh man. So meme
Yeah.
coins are not dying off, obviously.
Well, funny ones aren't, at
Yeah.
least, right? All the other ones that aren't funny are kind of getting hit. Like, look at Pepe.
Yeah,
Pepe's getting hit hard again
downpour,
today. I mean, grass is down 2.7. So it's just
grass.
the funny one. Yeah, it's in dead center. It's like touch grass or something. Yeah.
That one's a horrible meme.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them are, right? But you know, you do have some coins that are really up to date, like H bar you mentioned. You know, you have Jito, which is a Solana based render. There's a nice article today on was a Cointelegraph about render and how it's kind of changing the rendering game using AI. It's really awesome. So I'm really curious how that does. But you got Stacks up 4%, which is another one. Maker DAO up 5%, which is an Ethereum play, which is weird because it's usually you know, whatever Ethereum does, Maker actually copies, but it looks like people are buying up Maker. Maker's a really interesting one because it's a very low amount of coins in circulation. I think it's like 500,000 or something. It's less than 1 million. So Maker's definitely something that, you know, if ETH starts to run, you can see Maker really run.
Yeah. You got Monero up 1%, Tau up 5%. Tau, you're
5%.
right. Like I've been paying attention to Tau's price. It's been pretty resilient. I mean, yesterday it did follow a little bit of the trend of pullback, or maybe it was the day before.
Yeah.
And it got below, it got to like 180, and then today it got all the way back to 216. Yeah. So ICP, these guys are probably screaming happy because, you know, that's definitely they got yeah, they a long way to go to their all-time high, but you know, eventually, maybe one day we'll see it back up there. Maybe we'll see. But yeah, Doge up 2%. It's the classy ultimate meme there. AVAX up 3.8%. Tron up 3%. Yeah. So
you want to get a little bit more risky here?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
What do we got here? Core, which is a Bitcoin L2 that nobody really knows about
or uses.
A lot of red though. Kava down again. Barrett Chain down 11%. Damn. Comp down 4%.
Yeah. So Core actually is they got to be backed by Coinbase Ventures as well, because they got listed as soon as they went they launched. So but no one in the Bitcoin ecosystem really utilizes it yet. No. But we shall see. Pulse Chain up 4.4%. Interesting. The Wrong Track is up 8.4%. What else?
Or that's the right track. What is that? What are they? I can't remember. Oh man, I always get confused with them and track, but they're like a trail. Oregon Trail.
Yeah, Oregon Trail. Damn.
Yeah.
I haven't played that game in forever.
I don't think it's the game, but yeah.
Layer Zero down 8.5%. That's pretty. Barra, be bearish on Barra. That's led down 11%. So
a lot of these are ETH plays, right? Like I'm just, well, I was kind of surprised Maker DAO was up a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, we got syrup up 8%, bro.
Pancake.
No, yeah, I don't know what syrup.
That's not pancake. What you know what syrup is?
Cake is pancake. I don't know what syrup is, but it's up 8%.
Mog is up. Zeus is up too. Zeus actually has been consistently up. That's interesting.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah. So, anyways,
yep.
So that's what we got for the crypto bubbles, guys. At least we're seeing some green there. Hopefully that continues.
Yeah, man. Hopefully, let's get into that roll call here and see who was first on this show. It means everything. Shout out to Lackey Lukey. 2 days in a row. Congratulations to you, my friend. You are actually at 8 now, officially. I mean, you pulled the third place yesterday, and now you're holding it tightly now. So let's see if you can catch up to the big dogs, Danny Boy and where is he? Webdro, both at 13. So shout out. I'm actually curious to see how this goes, man. So yeah, 2 wins this week, 1 win last week.
They're calling him. They were calling him a bot in the chat.
I see. ASAP Benji says he's a bot. Shout out to ASAP Benji and shout out to I don't know, man. He has a Billy Cat, right? You can't be a bot if you have a Billy Cat. Yeah, I just can't say it. Can't say it. But you know, ASAP Benji got that frog. Shout out to ASAP Benji. Danny Boy. So look at this though. So he came, Lucky Luke came in at 12:48, and then ASAP Benji came in at 12:50. So 2 minutes away, and then Danny comes in at 1:08. I mean, you guys are just on top of it, man. Mr. Hanky, the Christmas Poo, he loves me and I love you, sitting here with an LFG came in at 3 o'clock yesterday. Webdro is here. Mats is here. Shout out to Mats. PJNZ all the way in New Zealand. Shout out to you, my friend. Cheaty, Patty Poo, the Bitcoin machine himself. And then, yeah, I'm going to give some love to my man Cheaty here in his blue suit. Love the blue suit, bro. Yo, please never change that PFP, bro. Never change that PFP. And we got Chief Axel's here like every single day. Steamy J every single day. I don't give enough love to Steamy J, man. And it's not Quantum Cat. What is it? Nat Cat. Shout out to Steamy J. S is here, GM from the Bells community. This guy is keeping Bells chain alive. Mo-Chain is here. He says OnChain Revolution. Let's go. Pelp is here. Myself says no regrets. Say we have bottomed out. Yeah, I think we have. I'd be shocked if we had any lower than 70 75. Can you see potentially us breaking the 74 that we hit on Sunday?
I don't think so. I felt like that was kind of like our dump, right? Because we didn't dump on Friday, and what you said was right. Like it never dumps on Friday. Or like
markets bottom on Friday.
Bottom out, yeah. So, well, is it overall markets? Because S&P did, right?
The S&P bottom Monday.
Did it?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So no, I can't really see that. But who knows? I mean, there's stuff that happened that I couldn't see before. So
yeah. You remember S&P had opened, it lost like $2 trillion in the open on Monday, or was that yesterday? So that's yeah, I mean, they were right. They said the market's never bottom on a Monday. I mean on a Friday. They do bottom on a Monday though. Super fans with a GM. Shout out to Super Fan, man. Mats is here. Shout out to Mats again. Myself. Danny Boy says, GM, my bag's hurt. Are we gonna be okay, Agaby? Are we gonna be okay?
We're gonna be okay, guys. We're gonna be okay. Just show up every day and you'll be okay. That's my
Myself says algorithmic stable coins are interesting. Maker has a crazy story where the co-founder was possibly murdered. So it's no longer an algorithmic stable coin. They actually back it by Ethereum. And they actually have USDT and USDC in the reserves as well. So it's not algorithmic stablecoin. It's very similar to how a lot of these Bitcoin guys are doing it now, like Ducat and stuff like that, and BitSmiley. It's you actually borrow against your ETH and receive half of, like, let's say you put a whole ETH in, you can take out as much as 50% in DAI, right? So that's kind of how that works. But yeah.
Did they switch after Luna?
Yeah, after Luna, they start to add USDT. They start to add USDC. Yeah, I mean when everything is exploding around you in algorithmic stablecoins, I don't think they were ever algorithmic though. They kind of were always you deposit Ethereum and you can take out half of that. You know what I mean? Like they were never really like, it wasn't anything like Terra Luna.
Interesting.
But yeah, so the ETH actually kept the prices sideways there. But yeah, man, I think that's all the comments we have here today. Appreciate you guys, man. So I'm gonna kind of hit in this next thing here. I was waiting for our next guest, but Magic Eden, they came out and they said kind of announcing something big tomorrow. Any ideas what this could be? I had a couple thoughts in my head, but like, one was an airdrop potentially. One was potentially something. Maybe I don't know. I don't know, man. What do you think?
I'm hoping it has something to do with runes. But I feel like every time they say we have a big announcement tomorrow, it's not big for the Bitcoin ecosystem, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. It'll be something like we put on Aptos. We're on Aptos now, guys, or
Sui.
It'll be something stupid. I mean, I think they're already on Sui.
Oh, okay.
But it's probably going to be like, I don't know, a chain that nobody cares about or something. So I'm hoping. You actually put this idea in my head earlier. We were kind of thinking of potentially Magic Eden becoming like a hyper liquid type of, have maybe its own chain announcement. Yeah. You think that's possible?
Well, the reason why my brain even went towards that is because they have been talking about, on chain is everything. And whenever Hyperliquid was going through the stuff, they would comment about like, we believe like everything on chain, that's how everything should work and all that stuff. So that would be really cool, in my opinion.
I agree.
But if they do that, they need to be ready because they're putting a target on their back, just like Hyperliquid had. Yeah. And we're learning that there's like this centralized exchange mafia that is out there.
Wintermute.
I mean, he's the hitman. He's the Iceman. Wintermute's the Iceman, and
he's the Winter Soldier.
He gets the instructions. The instructions get handed down to him, and he executes. No pun intended there, but anyways, but yeah. So if they were to do something like that, I think it would be that would be bullish in my opinion, for like the Bitcoin ecosystem, because I think they would try to integrate something and do all this stuff, but they would need to look over their shoulders and just make sure they have all their T's crossed and I's dotted. Because look, they're not going to come after you they're going to come after you to try to break your system.
Yeah.
And that's how we've seen this work in our industry. They try to break your system, whether you have an algorithmic stable coin, whether you have leverage that they can figure out, because they have very smart people that do things like this.
I mean, same thing happens in TradFi, right? If you have a company and you have a hole, they're gonna find it, right? So it's the same thing. It's your job as an investor when you're investing in these things to make sure that you've done your due diligence and there's nothing that can come out later that can hurt. Right?
Yeah.
Uber, taxi companies tried to destroy Uber for years, and they just couldn't succeed. And now I don't know. Last time I was
well, I think it's because taxi companies probably try to destroy Uber with pen and paper.
Well,
yeah, they like Uber's like the like next level of like innovation. So.
Well, I'm just saying, right? So there's always that next level innovation. If you come out with a product, they will try to find your holes. They will try to find your flaws, and they will exploit them.
And I think traditional businesses would always do it through regulation or something. You know what I mean? And that's how taxis try to get them. Remember, because like you couldn't like get picked up with like Ubers at certain places in the airport, and I'm like, damn, you're making me walking out like a mile, and there's a taxi driver like, you don't have to walk, I can take you. I'm like, I'm walking.
But Patty Poo says potentially for Magic Eden, the announcement, he thinks it's going to be a token buyback.
Yeah.
You think that is significant?
Yeah, that definitely could happen. It could be in part of their airdrop announcement too, because they always hype that up.
Yep. All right, guys, it is officially Tuesday at 12 o'clock, and every Tuesday at 12 o'clock, we have the great guys from Artura.finance. We talk about them every single day before our Bitcoin price action. You guys know what they are, but right now, you guys can actually play along with them on Botonic's testnet. You guys can go to Artura.finance right now and make some trades. I highly recommend you guys doing Ethereum and Tau and XRP. The fun ones, right? Bitcoin's kind of very boring right now. Get some volatility under your coins right now and go play with Artura.finance. Without further ado, let's bring them up. Let's bring up Instant. Let's bring up Marine. What's up, guys?
Jim.
Hey, guys.
Hey, how are you guys doing? You guys hanging in there?
Yes, sir.
One day at a time.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like Marian is likes to trade and all that stuff, and I'm sure you do as well, Instant. But like, you guys are building something, so kind of in the back of your mind, you're kind of side eyeing the charts and all that stuff, but you're focused on delivering this amazing product. But let's break into kind of the state of the current crypto markets, right? There was a lot of talk about decoupling heading into the weekend. And then you got someone like Benjamin Cohen that says, hold on, every time you guys talk about this stuff, it eventually crashes. What do you guys feel about like Bitcoin and crypto decoupling? Do you think we have a long way to go? Let's start with you, Instant.
I mean, I think we'll see. I feel like at this point, there's just like so much news that's kind of constantly coming out and like so many predictions. And I think we're like, in the midst of a volatile market. I think we'll have to see.
Yeah. What about you, Marian? The whole myth of Bitcoin actually decoupling and creating its own path of destiny. Do you think we achieve that? And if we do, when does that happen, do you think?
We'll see. Like Instant said, we're gonna have like really volatile 4 years ahead of us.
Gotcha.
I mean, volatility could be a good thing, though, right? Volatility could be your friend. We could actually shoot up, a couple 100% in the meantime of that. But I do think Bitcoin eventually gets very stable to where if it moves very similar to the S&P, where if it goes up 2%, it's a huge deal. But I do think you're right. I think the next 4 years we're going to see insane volatility, at least both sides.
Yeah, I mean, just jumping off of that, like really quick, like, I would love to see it, like, Bitcoin, like enter, I don't know, not even like a more like isolated ecosystem, but I guess it's like just sort of like a ecosystem and industry that's like moved away from like a lot of I guess like the other cryptos, even like the US dollar, like for some instance where it seems like it's kind of like been attached to like a little bit for like the past like several years. But yeah, I think like we still have like a ways to go here. I'm hoping that like a lot of these like policies that are coming out and a lot of these like different investors and industries that are like finally kind of breaking in like lend itself to like totally decoupling Bitcoin from I guess like other sorts of currencies. But yeah, I mean like I think it's still like we still have like a ways to go. I think like over the next couple of years, as maybe some of these like different actions play out, like we'll get a better idea.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the market cap is for Bitcoin is $2 trillion, right? And we started the day off with the stock market down 2 trillion, I believe. So it's kind of like the market cap definitely needs to grow for it to kind of be its own thing that like kind of creates its own path and all that stuff. But something that's interesting that I recently thought about is maybe there's going to be this merge. And so, with the tokenization of real world assets and stocks, being tokenized in the future and stuff like that, maybe there isn't going to be a decoupling because it's going to be merged into kind of one gigantic, huge singular market. Could you see that happening?
Yeah. So, like you said, maybe we can see like Bitcoin as a digital gold, right? So it's on its own. But there is a possibility we see it as a DXY also in the Forex markets. So people are going to look at the Bitcoin to decide for the moves on the other altcoins, right? Because it's the biggest one, and how it plays, how it reacts, the other altcoins are going to play with along it also.
Yeah, man. I want to talk about the this chart real quick. So this right here, this is the Ethereum and Bitcoin chart, right? This is like my favorite part of the chart to look at, Ethereum against Bitcoin, because it's something Benjamin Cohen has been right about again. He was saying, Ethereum needs to go home, and he was calling the home between 0.02 and 0.01. We're officially inside there. How do you feel about Ethereum against Bitcoin right now? Do you feel like we bottomed, or do you think we might have a little bit more ways to go? Maybe we got to hit that 0.001 marker before we can kind of start seeing some upward movement between the two coins.
I think ETH versus Solana is a bit more hot currently. Just check that chart, and you'll see how Solana is performing. Man, much more people are comparing these two charts instead of
here.
BC.
ETH Sol?
Yeah. Or Sol ETH. Check that.
Sol ETH. Let me check the Sol ETH. Yeah.
Dang, they put Sol in front of ETH these days. No, I was kidding.
Well, it's just Sol.
I know. I'm messing around.
Yeah, based on code currency. Just check that.
Oh wow, yeah, this is Sol ETH. Oh my goodness, dude, that's crazy.
Solana is like Ethereum yesterday, right? Like a huge dump, and we tested the 2018 highs. Well, the first all-time high that ever happened on Ethereum.
Yeah. So is Ethereum, Yahoo, and Solana Google?
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of was like that in the search engine and market. Like in the beginning, like Yahoo had all the momentum. It was like the first breakout, and then slowly but surely, Google took all the market share pretty much. So we could be kind of, I know that's a completely different industry, but that would be a good example.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that Ethereum is the most trusted chain in the world, besides Bitcoin, right? Like the most trusted smart contracts that are created. They're all like ETH has never. I mean, besides the very early days when when everyone knows it got rolled back, and then we have Ethereum Classic and Ethereum. But like since then, there really hasn't been any chain like hacks or chain shutdowns like we've seen on Solana. So I mean, there's times too where Solana shuts down during heavy meme coin times, and Ethereum, they just gas is just high, right? So I mean when.
Too high.
God, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the fees are too high, and the on-chain on the Ethereum is like that currently.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why I'm kind of saying, like, you can see
it's
chain, right? Like, you're not going to use ETH to buy meme coins, but you'll use ETH to move $100,000, $70,000, right?
ETH as an ETH is okay, but like on-chain, Ethereum is really, really dead.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say dead when you have $1 billion in transactions every day, right?
Yeah.
I think it's just bigger money. It's just not. The transactions just aren't like on Solana. There's a lot of dollar transactions, 30 cents, right? You can't do that on ETH. It's
Yeah,
just too expensive. So
for the
I think
whales.
ETH's just that premium chain.
Yeah, for the
Yeah,
whales.
only whales. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, I don't think, and actually, I think Yahoo's still alive today. I was gonna say,
I mean, I use it every day.
do you? You
I play fantasy football, fantasy baseball.
Oh, okay.
So,
So they did find their use case. It's
Yeah.
fantasy sports. I'll say that. But Ethereum could kind of just find its niche in the institutional usage or whatever and stuff
Yeah.
down the line. But even some institutions are pouring into Solana too for the future. But yeah. I mean, great market kind of talk there. Let's jump over to Artura in the platform. How's that coming along? Instant. Do you feel like you guys are on pace for before the end of this month for mainnet? Don't like to put timelines on anything, but just kind of see where you guys are.
Yeah, I mean, I think the goal is to get to mainnet as soon as possible. I think we're still on track. I think this month is the goal as well. And I think like we're very close. Like obviously, there's going to be a lot coming in these next 2 months. It's a bit of a strange time to be building in the ecosystem as well. Sort of in the depths of extreme, I guess, like shakiness and instability. There's like tons of projects that are still building, and people are always joking on the timelines, but everyone's still online and watching the charts and making moves anyways, despite maybe general sentiments from like people just bear posting. So I mean, like, yeah, I think like we're trying to get mainnet finished up. It's going to be on Hemi once we first go live, and we're gonna have some more features also coming out as well. Our referral program, if you guys have like friends who are traders, you can easily like onboard them, and you can earn depending on the volume they generate. So that's like a really easy way to sort of get involved in the ecosystem and trade with your friends. So we're gonna have that coming out soon along with mainnet. And then like additional some like rewards programs that we'll be launching in the meantime. But yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned building, right? Like in current state of the markets and stuff like that. And it's obviously not the most friendly environment for a builder to be building a big project, robust project. Like, what would you say, like, for a builder that is looking to start building now, or maybe in the future they come into like a market condition that you guys are going through? What is like some advice you could give them to be able to sustain and continually build?
I mean, I think there's a couple things. I mean, I think timing, you can't get around it. It is important in the market. So like launching things at the right time and is something super important to consider. It might be something where you might have to like delay some events because things are a little bit shaky, or you might have to move some things up because you want to get them out before other sorts of like uncertainty arises. But I think it's just like really important if like you have a product like you believe in, and you have faith in it, and I think if you're thinking in the long term and not just like let me launch a product and like see how it doesn't like how it exists in like 2 months, but really trying to build something long term that people can use for years to come. Like the current market conditions I don't think matter as much. Everything moves in cycles, and even if like it's not the perfect cycle right now, like at least like you'll be ready for like when the next cycle comes through. I think it's like also just something to keep in mind as well. Yeah.
So I heard something the other day that like the party in crypto doesn't start until VCs walk in, right? Are you guys seeing potentially like this VCs kind of sticking their nose in places and taking calls? I know you guys have talked to a lot of builders and stuff. Do you see potentially the VCs are kind of snooping around a little bit?
I think they're always snooping around, to be honest. Yeah. It seems like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you guys have gone to conferences, I know, but I don't know if anybody else has gone here. But like, the VCs still show up to like every single conference that they can. They're still like looking for potential like, opportunities. Like maybe like they don't have like a sort of like capital to deploy always in like a bull market versus like, more bearish conditions. But yeah, I mean, like they're still constantly investing. I think, projects are still constantly building. Yeah, I remember even like the last cycle, there were like still like massive like projects to come out and like massive like VC investments, even like in the bottoms of the bear.
Yeah. Yeah, you made a great point on the question I asked you, right before Shizzy asked you that, and it was about the what was it? Dang it! Now my freaking mind went blank. No, it had to do with if you believe in what you're building, right? So, like right now in these current market conditions, I think that the projects that are really building for like the cash grabs and stuff, those fade out like pretty quickly, right? Because like they can't sustain like this, like the bearish times, and in their mind they're like, oh well, and they kind of just fade off. And the ones that get through this, are able to build through this, I feel like have kind of what it takes, right? At least to be able to deliver a product through the hardest times. Is that how you see it too? Is kind of like, okay, if you're going to gauge potential for future, it's like getting through like the toughest times as a builder is one of the biggest indicators you can have.
Yeah, definitely. I think it shows ultimately like faith in your project and faith in your product. I do think that we do have a bit of an advantage in, which that like, we do offer ways to sort of, make gains and make money, even like while like, the market is, especially when the market is volatile, people can, take advantage of that. It doesn't necessarily have to be like longing on everything. You can short assets that you hate or whatever. Yes. But yeah, no, so we're in like a bit of an advantage, and as long as like fart coins going up however any X% while like everything else is going down, you can long that too. So we have an advantage, but you have to believe in your product. Like we expect to be around for like a very long time. Like we're trying to build a hyper liquid in sort of the Bitcoin ecosystem, and that's performing just as well right now. So yeah, you gotta have faith.
Who's buying all that fart coin? Is it you, Marian?
You know it.
Long fart coin right now?
I shared the outlook. Yeah.
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 That's a weird gainer though. Like, how can you explain that? Do you just feel like that's just a one-off situation, random?
I see the state about the fart coin, and the technicals gave me like a bonus confluence. Yeah. It's really like clean. It's respecting my levels.
Gotcha.
Alongside the other side of the market. Yeah.
Previous cycles, we've had like meme coins kind of run first, right? I don't mean cycles in the sense of like a 4-year cycle, but like little runners. Before it obviously was Doge in the beginning, Shiba, Pepe. Now we're seeing Farcoin. Could Farcoin really kind of maybe start an upward momentum here? Do you think?
That's a good point.
Bitcoin, yeah, I see like many good names are calling like 1 billion as soon as possible, like in the next month or two. And there's a good narrative with Fartcoin. There's Bitcoin, Batcoin. Yeah, there's a whole chain.
It's actually funny. A lot.
Yeah.
That's one of my biggest peeves on memes is they're not funny. Like doll go to the moon. There's nothing funny about a doll going to the moon. But with Farcoin, I mean, I invested all my wealth in Farcoin. That's pretty funny.
I see now that Farcoin whales are bidding like Batcoin.
That's funny, man. That is funny.
Just saying that out loud is crazy.
Yeah.
But it's telling your wife I invested in Farcoin.
I mean, you can't get any more crypto than that, though, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like in the most like darkest of times, the one coin that's thriving is Fartcoin. And you're right, like Dogecoin kind of kicked things off, and I think it was early 2020 or whatever. Oh yeah, early 2021, and then things started going. So maybe, hey, let's get Fartcoin to $1 billion. Maybe that will get things going.
Yeah.
And then she kind of kicked off the next leg of 2021, right? And then Pepe kind of kicked off this last one. But go ahead, Marine, cut you off.
Yeah.
Okay, so my last thing here is I used to dabble in options and TradFi, and I really liked options because I feel like it's a different product offering than like I know there's options for Bitcoin and Ethereum, but they're still kind of they don't feel the same. You're very limited with your kind of timing and stuff. Do you think that like options can kind of merge as another product in a perps DEX or leverage platform, or do you feel like they're just they don't work as well with crypto, and that's just never going to happen with our space?
I'll say like personally, I haven't traded as much options as like other people, so maybe like my knowledge on this might not be as strong. But aren't like options in crypto are like pretty limited right now? Isn't that like?
Yeah, they are. There's only a couple places you can go for them. They're very limited in terms of like the dates, because options have a flip side to them too, like where you have to lend out your shares and like there's a process with it, but there's enough market participants to where it works for like company shares. But I think the reason why it doesn't work so much as for Bitcoin is because maybe like the volatility, so the people lending out don't want to lose, or the platform doesn't want to lose. But there's going to be a point, I think, when Bitcoin's going to be more stable and the volatility goes down, and maybe that's whenever options are more reintroduced. But like, would you guys be open to offering options in the future, to users that are used to that, if it works? Is that something that you guys could add as a product maybe?
Yeah, I think that falls in sort of line with like the DeFi super app that we're trying to build. I think as long as there's like a market for it, like we're certainly like, willing to build it. And I think it'd be cool to offer like, it's an interesting idea offering like the first options, or one of the first options trading, I guess, platforms on our app, on like, in the Bitcoin. So that's something that like we'd be interested in exploring. Yeah, I sort of wonder, I guess like, I know like more like TradFi now is like getting a little bit more interested in crypto. It seems like that's kind of like happening over time. So I wonder if like those, these are becoming more popular, and additionally, I think like maybe as sort of like the DGen sort of, explore and like break out into like, different sort of like modes of trading. I wonder if like, yeah, if it becomes enough, like popular enough, with like these growing segments, yeah, I think like that's something that we could definitely add probably very quickly too.
Yeah, and I know it was attempted on Arbitrum. There was a couple projects that did it in 2022, but it just never really got too much traction because, again, the other side of the market didn't feel like they felt like it was too risky for them to kind of offer these options to retail users. But I do think it gets to a point like that, and when crypto companies and build like more foundation as well and stuff like that. But yeah, any opinions from your end, Marianne, about possible options in the future?
Just like you said, only if the BTC like stables, in my opinion. Only then, yeah.
Fair point.
I'm curious if can you take options out on ETFs, Marine, or is that not a thing?
I don't really know.
I think you can. I think you can,
yeah.
But I don't think that they're probably offering it too much for the Bitcoin ETF. Look, there are options that are out there, but I think they're at like a higher institutional level. You have to put a lot of because they always talk about like options expiring at the last Friday of the month.
Yeah,
and so it's just not a retail product like it is in TradFi right now. And I think that will happen, but there just needs to be more stability and stuff.
I know, like the GameStop guys, they were utilizing options more than anyone, right? Like that was the number one thing that they were doing.
Yeah,
taking options
TradFi
out on GameStop. Yeah, but I'm saying like I'm just curious if Robinhood offers it for Bitcoin as well.
I don't think so. Whenever, because that's what I used to use, was Robinhood a lot, but it's fun, and it's a fun alternative. Like, look, I think margin is really cool, and perps are awesome if you're responsible with it. But sometimes you might want to switch things up, and if that product comes, I think that'd be awesome if you guys were one of the first to where it's a smooth product and all that stuff. So awesome.
Yeah, man. All right, guys. It's been absolutely amazing having you guys, man. Every single Tuesday. It's been great. Really looking forward to potentially a trading competition. Do you guys know if it's going to be tomorrow, or are we going to push it till next week?
As long as everybody can make it, I think we're on track. I'll just reconfirm, but so far I think I have the good word.
Awesome. It's going to be fun. So, guys, if you don't know what that is, we're going to be doing a crypto roundtable. It'll be me, Yagobi, these guys, Instant Marine, and then also we're going to have a couple other really good traders from around the ecosystem going to hop on with us on one call, and we're all just going to kind of mess around with Artura.finance and kind of paper trade with each other, 150x leverage for the riskier of us. We'll kind of see what happens from that, and you guys can learn what not to do by watching me. So it should be fun and exciting, but I'd love to give you guys a stage one last time. We'll start with you, Marine. Any last words?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna say like some BTC stuff that we still need some confirmation and to be responsible with leverage these days.
Good
So you're
advice
telling me
there.
not to take 150x leverage on Bitcoin, right?
With the tested money always, but you can always be responsible. Yeah.
Yeah, man. All right, Instant, balls in your court.
Yeah, no, we have some great features that are coming out. Big news. I think very, very soon. You guys can start trading for real. Very, very soon as well. Just be active in Discord because we are going to be starting up a rewards program. Referrals coming out soon with mainnet as well. Tons of new features and events. So a bunch of stuff to look forward to. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. See you next week.
Yep. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
All right. I think that's our show for you guys today. I don't really have much here. I do have this last thing. Pump Fund deposits another 84,000 SOL worth 9.3 million into Kraken. We do know that's where they're holding this money, though, right? So it's not like they're selling it on the spot. But that's all I got for the news today. Really appreciate 211 of you guys on YouTube and X, and then everyone else on Spotify, Twitch, Rumble, and Abstract. Really appreciate every single one of you guys.
Yeah, and hang in there, guys. Just pay attention to the space. Make sure you're watching the show every single day. If you're not, then you're gonna lose. No, I'm just kidding. But pay attention. Pay attention. Whether you're watching OnChain Revolution Monday through Friday, or you're just doing your research, because right now is the time to, in my opinion, to be paying the most attention. And it's the time. It's easiest to get kind of disconnected right now because, you're like, oh, what's happening in the markets? My bags are down. All these things. And even if you can't, you don't have any dry powder or anything like that, it could be a time to reflect on strategy and stuff like that. But we do appreciate each and every one of you guys. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here each and every day. So we thank you so much for that. And we ask if you could check out our partners. We greatly appreciate it because they're kind of the second half of that, allowing us to be here. Emblem Vault is the interoperability tool to where you can jump your ordinals, your puppets, your frogs, your node monks to Merlin, to Base, Arbitrum, Abstract, eventually Solana. And you're going to be able to use their AI agent hustle to help you vault your ordinals. It could be really, really cool and fun, in my opinion. But don't forget about their Rune TGE that's coming out in September. And you can actually participate in a pre-sale environment right now on OpenSea. If you search Emblem Founder Vault keys, you'll be able to see that. And it is an ERC 721. But if you do pick one of those up during the TGE in September, it will open up and you will get your Bitcoin runes, your Founder Vault key runes, and your Bitcoin wallet. They'll give you instructions on how to do that. Super exciting stuff. It's definitely innovative. First time someone trying to do this, and I think it's really cool. You can learn all about this at emblem.vision. And BetBTC is the predictions marketplace of the Bitcoin ecosystem. All you need is a Bitcoin wallet, some Bitcoin, and 6 Bitcoin blocks, and you can start placing bets right away. They have their blitz markets to where you can actually kind of long or short, Bitcoin, BNB, or Solana. There's a countdown, 10-minute countdown, so you can actually pick the price you want to get in at. And I recommend waiting until that gets close to like a minute so you don't have to lock it in way early and you can kind of have more information there. But that's just me. And then an additional 10 minutes to see if you win or lose. And very fun, exciting stuff there. But they're going to have way more features coming, guys. These guys are building. We've seen kind of from the inside out what they're doing, and they're doing big stuff. And earn points. Be active on there, even if you're just doing dollar trades or just signing up gets you 50 points because they will have a future airdrop. So you can learn all about this at betbtc.win. And Artura Finance. We just talked to these guys. This team is awesome. They are the perps and leverage decks of the Bitcoin ecosystem. Soon you're going to be able to trade synthetic Bitcoin fungibles like Ordi, Sats, Doggo the Moon, stuff like that, as well as popular tokens outside of the ecosystem in XRP, Tau, and other stuff like that. You can actually go to their website, artura.finance, and start messing around right now on their test net. But very soon, you're going to be able to trade these assets on Hemi Bitcoin Layer 2, which is backed by Binance, by the way. Head over to their Discord, ask them questions, just get connected there so you can, possibly be a part of their future TGE as well. Go to artura.finance to learn more. And Fluid Tokens, the first to offer staking vaults on Bitcoin Layer 1. These guys are amazing UTXO, wizards. They started off on Cardano and then are building now as well on Bitcoin. They're doing huge things on Bitcoin. They're going to be releasing their Aquarium, which is the interoperability and smart wallet, all that stuff between Bitcoin and Cardano. They're partnering with all types of teams. These guys are going to be huge, in my opinion, in the future. If you are a founder of an Ordinal collection or a Rune and you have an established community and you want a staking vault for your community, head over to their Discord. Ask how to get started. They will hook you up. They have a team that's paying attention, asking questions over there. And you can also go to fluidtokens.com to learn more there. And Merlin Chain, your #1 scaling solution for Bitcoin native L1 assets and protocols. These guys are doing huge things with AI as well. They're going to be releasing their Wizard 0.2 and 3 together very soon. And you're going to be able to use their AI tool to, ask you questions about the chain, transactions, what's, up, what's down, stuff like that to kind of guide you. And if you are a builder and you want to scale to Bitcoin Layer 2, you can do so there. They have great builder support. But yeah, one major thing is if you hold Merlin chain tokens and you want to help secure the chain, you can actually stake those for 15% APR. And they're going to be adding Bitcoin support for proof of stake very soon too. We'll update you as soon as we get information on that. But go to merlinchain.io to learn more there. And lastly, our integrated partners in Foxy AI building the metaverse on Bitcoin called the Bitverse, and the first-person shooter game called Cypher Striker. And we will update you next time we live stream that. But anybody can play when we do have an event like that. All you need is a supported wallet, connect, and you pick your clan, and then we go to war for about 45 minutes and laugh and stuff, and get killed a lot in my case. But yeah, super fun, exciting. And then lastly, but not least, is Ordinal Hive. They are an aggregator Ordinal marketplace, guys. The cheapest Ordinals around will be on Ordinal Hive for Bitcoin Layer 1 and Layer 2. And they have amazing trader tools as well, like live mempool insights. So you can actually grab something that was accidentally mispriced. I know that sucks for the person that owns it, but you snooze, you lose. But yeah, so make sure you're utilizing their tool set there. And thank you guys so much for checking out our partners.
Yep. Great job, man. As always. Malam Yuri says, can you guys do a tutorial on BitTensor? We sure can. We can definitely put that. We'll get that actually done for you. It's actually probably really good. It'll probably only be like 10 minutes. Honestly, it's really easy once you start to get a hang of it. But yeah, definitely. If you guys have a few more minutes, wouldn't mind checking out OnChainRevolution.io. We have some of the best articles dating all the way back to 2023. Brand new article just hit the site. Is it time to invest in Ethereum? Analyzing the current landscape. Some really good stuff here, guys. You definitely want to start checking out the articles. And if you know someone just entering the space, please send them our website. We really feel like it can help them get started and code up to where we are today. And if you guys need a VPN, we got the #1 VPN. That's Nord. That's my personal favorite, right? I've used a lot of them. There is free ones out there if you're interested in getting a free one. But if you want the best and don't mind paying $3 a month, that is Nord. It's $10 a month if you don't use our coupon. But definitely use our coupon. You get 70% off. It gets you down to $3 a month. I think I paid $36 for the year using this link. Definitely recommend it for everybody. And if you guys are going to Bitcoin at 2025 Las Vegas, it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. But do not wait till May to get your tickets. Get them as soon as possible. Get them today if you can. It's like $1,500 for the industry pass, $700 for the festival pass. Guys, don't not wait until next month. It's going to be too expensive. Not going to be worth it. I mean, it's already got that point. But if you're interested in going to 2026, buy them like a few days after this one, right? They're the cheapest you'll ever get them, and we'll probably have a link for you guys as well. So definitely check out everything here. And if you guys need merch for that event or any event, or just kind of lounge around in the house, but we got that on our store tab. Click that, all done through a third party. And that'll take you to our Shopify. And yeah, you guys can get some of the best merch. And if you guys want us to add any merch, just let us know. Like, yo, I want an Arbitrum shirt. I want this. I want that. We can pretty much make anything. Just let us know, and we can add it for you. And guys, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week. And until tomorrow.
Peace.
OnChain, 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 OnChain. OnChain Revolution, roll call. Market recap. You're not bullish enough, no. You're not bullish enough, no. Look at the price go, Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear trap. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and marching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction.